Well, well, well. Unfortunately, the season has come to a conclusion. Man, let's just get this thing going. All right, I'm not about to sugarcoat it. My name is Arthur Moats. I got the awesome panel with me today. TaNeisha from Really Flawed, aka the Doctor, Miss PhD. And then, of course, the WRAL Channel 5 producer in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was a late night. It was. I'm still going through it. So, ladies first, just talk to me, TaNeisha. Talk to us. Help us out.
Shout out to the defense for showing up, remembering the game was on Monday night, remembering what to do and how to play football. Kudos to them. And that's about it for me. Shout out to them. It's I've been harping on this offense all year, and of course in the playoffs, it's like, oh, these guys showed up. I don't like them. I don't like them at all. So yeah, very disappointing showing from that offense. Very disappointing that they just couldn't figure it out. So that was just really disappointing. But what say you, Mark?
For the game last night specifically, 3 points off 3 takeaways. The Steelers win the takeaway battle 3-2. And to me, the game that swung the outcome of the game was in the fourth quarter, the strip sack, scoop, and score against Aaron Rodgers, where the left side of the line just point blank got beat by a Houston pass rush that consistently got after Aaron Rodgers with 4 pass rushers. And we knew that going into the game, Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr., how that was going to be a challenge to block both of them because they're a great edge rushing duo. You credit Houston, their defense, but then it leads to the conversation of bigger level of where this franchise is headed of, is Aaron Rodgers back next year? What about the future of Mike Tomlin? And really the bigger question is what this team wants to accomplish in 2026 and beyond. When you consider the history of this game, 7 consecutive playoff losses for the Steelers. In each of those losses, they've trailed by at least 21 points in each of those 7 losses. So where Pittsburgh goes from here, the bigger question is what you want to accomplish. And if it's winning a Super Bowl, we're going to have some very, very frank conversations here on today's podcast.
Shoot, man, I looked at it like their defense, unfortunately, outplayed our defense, and our defense was balling. But difference is this, man. Yeah, we had 3 turnovers, but they scored on 2 of their turnovers. Yeah, we were able to get after CJ Stroud, but we didn't get after him the way that their pass rushers unfortunately got after Aaron Rodgers. And the other issue that we've already talked about, well, actually, I'll say the 2 things that we've had conversations about since the preseason. Could the offensive line hold up? For the majority of the season, they did. And even in this game, the majority of the time they did. It got weird once that fourth quarter hit. The strip sack really flipped the game. But prior to that, they were still handling it well enough when you think about what that Texans D-line, specifically Will Howard and obviously Danielle Hunter, what they were capable of. But the other issue that continues to present itself is the wide receiver issue.
Yeah.
It started out good. Yeah, but it started out good, though. And you could see where, okay, with DK, man, how he can have some issues. But then we saw the drop. And then after the drop, it was like, man, that went completely ice cold. Adam Thielen had a catch early on. Completely ice cold after that. MVS, we don't get a third down pickup till late in the game. So when I look at this game and I think of, man, what went right, what went wrong, I'm like, yeah, we knew this protection was going to be a challenge. It held until it didn't. We know these wide receivers were going to have to continue to figure out ways to be consistent, and unfortunately they didn't. And then the other part was, like I said, man, that defense was ultimately able to make their splashier plays. And like I said, for me, it's frustrating, but I also see how close it is too. And that's the flip side of it. It's like, it sucks that the end was what it was, though. Definitely does. But I wanted to ask you guys this, though.
Listeners and viewers, have mercy on Arthur. He meant Will Anderson, not Will Howard. Have mercy on Arthur.
Oh, shut up, man.
Listening or watching that. But I got you, Arthur. I got you.
Sorry, go ahead. All good. But I was going to ask you guys, though, man. I know you have brought up the trailing by 20 points in all of these games. Did this game feel like any of the other postseason games that they've lost during this, was it seven playoff games in a row, right? I think that's what it is.
So that's a good question. And to me, in the fourth quarter, they were still in it. And to me, it was like the first quarter was huge because those 6 previous playoff losses, 73-0 when it came to first quarter deficits in the previous 6 losses. Steelers led 3-0 after that one. So it's a 4-point game in the fourth quarter. And again, that's why I think the strip sack fumble was just, it completely flipped the momentum of the game. I mean, Houston's defense outscored the Steelers offense 14-6 when you factor in the pick sixes and the PATs after the fact. I do think Pittsburgh's defense showed up because the final score wasn't totally reflective that this was a closer game. Right. But then when it got out of hand in the fourth quarter, it was just like an avalanche to where there was nothing Pittsburgh could do to try to right the ship. And it's like as soon as they went down 2 scores, given the challenges that the offense had to that point in the game, like here's how I know how dire it was, right? In the fourth quarter, when the Steelers were down, 2 scores, and they decided to punt instead of go for it on 4th down, they were right around midfield. That was the right decision to make, considering how poorly the offense had played to that point in the game.
Yeah, I think at this point, so no, I don't think it looked as bad as the final score says, because for 3 quarters and for the start of the fourth, it was a really good football game. Like I was like, this is actually going our way. CJ Stroud was doing what I thought CJ Stroud would do. We were catching the ball when it hit our hand. I was like, okay, this is what I expected. And then it was just like, again, our offense broke before our defense did, but it was almost like once our offense broke and once that happened, because in a weird way I was still kind of like, it's only 16, like we're still close, like it's not a complete blowout, but I don't know, I've never played football, but it feels like there's something where it's like when you know that your offense just doesn't have it and they just haven't shown that they can do it, it's just like, oh, and now, okay, great. Everything we've been doing was for nothing. You give up points on offense. like we've been playing so well and you give up points. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, no, the offense did absolutely nothing to help this defense last night. And when I say nothing, I mean going 3 and out, being on the field for less than 2 minutes. I mean, it was just like the offense all night struggled. All night they struggled. And the offensive line, I felt like, coming into this game, I was like, okay, if our offensive line can hold, like they don't have to be good and they don't have to win every battle, every possession, everything. If they can win more than they lose, we could potentially do this. And I just didn't. Yeah, I was disappointed in the offensive line last night. I was like, nice try, guys. Just nice try.
Yeah, for me, I didn't get disappointed into them until the fourth quarter, honestly. I understood what that matchup was. You talk about both of those edge rushers, they could both be all pros. That's the argument legitimately. It was going to be a challenge. And with that, it's like, man, we know we typically respond with what? Super quick passing attack. So early on, we didn't do that. Early on, we actually were attacking them down the grass. And I thought that their corners played a lot better in the second half than they did in the first half. That was the other part of it. First half, man, you see how DK was able to have some of that success against Lassiter. You see how we were able to make some of those plays down the grass. Second half, those 50-50s didn't fall in our favor. Questionable, man, could you get a call here or not? Ultimately didn't go in our favor. So when I look at that, that was the other additional part of it. But when you start getting in third and longs versus pass rushers, and that was what the Texans did a good job offensively in the second half of not getting into. They ran the ball a little bit better, right? And we saw that kind of pop back up where they were able to stay in those 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 4s. Whereas for us, we was in 3rd and 7s, 3rds and 10s, which is just way more challenging to do, especially when we think of our receiving group as well. So to me, it was that mix of once that went wrong, then we look at the defense, and it's not that you give up. It's just literally, man, when you have to keep going out there over and over and over and over and over and over. Yeah, we talked about that analogy of, yeah, all right, yeah, it's bulletproof, all right, until the 100th time it gets shot, you're like, hey, man, that's a lot.
Sure, a little
so,
chink. Yeah.
So that was kind of how I perceived it. And then we sandwiched that with fumble return for a touchdown, defense give up a touchdown, pick six. It's like, yo, it's over. Yeah. And that's definitely the disheartening part right there. With this defense, though, where do we go from here, right? Because obviously we talked about in this performance, man, it looked as if the younger version, which was the Texans, were able to go a little bit further with that thing. Man, what was your perception of that?
Mark,
Well,
do you want to go?
Yeah, 2 for 14 on third down for the Steelers offense. And then I always point to time of possession. We're 10 minutes in. So Steelers lost time of possession even though they had the ball in garbage time late when the game was out of hand. They put Mason Rudolph down, was it 30-6 at that point in the game? And the Texans still won time of possession. They had the ball for more than 32 minutes. Defensively, Arthur, you've been harping on this all year long of whether – the takeaways that the defense has created is something that is sustainable to have defensive excellence versus teams that can just shut it down and force an opposing offense to go 3 and out. Going into this game, one of the keys was, can you force takeaways against Houston, a team that was excellent in the regular season?
Plus 17
turnover differential. Yes. And so if you would have told me that the Steelers would have won the takeaway battle and gotten 3 takeaways, when can you ever recall a game ever where a team gets 3 takeaways defensively, yet on the other side of the ball to where they just fail to score a touchdown? And it was that
not just fail to score a touchdown. They give up 2 touchdowns. We have to 2 touchdowns were scored while the offense was on the field. It's
the statistical probability of that has to be slim to none. TaNeisha, hop in.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. And I mean, we all know this, right? Like, I've been harping on this offense from what since week 5. So for me, I'm kind of like, sports happens all the same way. It's all a cycle. And once you know who you are, you try to not be as bad as you were and you try to reach as good as you were. And sometimes you fall right in the middle. And I feel like this team last night was a combination of all those quarters where I was like, uh-oh, we had a lull. We had a lull. This time we finally had an entire game where it just wasn't working. And I think when I look at this team, the lack of that wide receiver 2 is always going to be the things that we harp on. I'm going to say this, and I don't know how I feel about it once it leaves my mouth. The difference also in Aaron Rodgers being stationary last night hurt us, because there were certain moments where it's like he probably could have gotten 2 or 3, but he couldn't because obviously he's old and we don't want him to put himself in harm's way. Whereas if we had a younger quarterback, I think he would have probably went in there a couple of times. And so there's this thing where you play where it's like, do you want an Aaron Rodgers and everything he brings to the table when you also have to live with everything else he brings to the table? And I'm not saying we lost the game solely on Aaron Rodgers, but it doesn't help when your quarterback honestly has to decide between his health and scrambling for 5 yards here or 3 yards there, especially against that defense. Now, having said that, do I want Aaron Rodgers to run out there and scramble all the time? No. But I think if you have a younger QB, those are like the things that you give up. And he was stationary. And you can't be stationary against a great defense. That is our kryptonite. A great defense is our kryptonite because our quarterback play has just been, elite average. And that's where it shows up. I think that's where it shows up. And I think it showed up. And the playoffs, everything's get a little bit tighter. Everything gets a little bit harder. And we showed that we have a high caliber defense that can handle it. And we have an offense that, So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know.
I like that. Mark, what's your thoughts on Rodgers, man? What's your thoughts on this play?
I think TaNeisha hit the nail on the head. And Rodgers is 42 years old. A lot of the same things happened toward the end of Big Ben's run in Pittsburgh, to where there's times they could do it for a play here or there. They still have the savvy of playing for both respective players for about 2 decades. But especially when you're going up against a defense that can get after you with 4, Houston doesn't have to blitz and they can still generate a consistent pass rush. As well as the offensive line for Pittsburgh developed throughout the course of this season, they failed to protect Aaron Rodgers last night when they're trying to get back in the game and to throw down the field and to try to go get a touchdown late in that game. And if you watch the post game, Chris Carter from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette asked Mike Tomlin this question. And I thought that this was a great question. The Steelers have not scored a touchdown to either tie or take a lead in a playoff game. You've got to go back to when the Steelers played the Dolphins in the playoffs like a decade ago. And he asked, well, why is that? And Tomlin, look, I get that you're honed in, you're laser focused on this one individual game versus to see the bigger picture of what this loss means for the franchise for the last decade plus, and then moving forward as well to kind of big picture it. I understand that. I respect that with Mike Tomlin. But point blank, it's like the playoff struggles, and we can talk of, should Tomlin come back? Should Rodgers come back? This, that, or the other. Even if they do come back, and maybe that's the best thing for 2026. You look at all of the vacancies that there are in the NFL, and you might not want to compete with other franchises to go get a coach or a quarterback that could potentially be out there. Draft, trade, free agency, young and up-and-coming hotshot coach. But just because what's best for 2026 is that's what's best for 27, 28, 29 down the line, because even if you bring Rodgers back next year, and that might be what's best for next season, well, what does that mean for 2027 and beyond for where this franchise needs to go? And really the bigger question is this. What's the goal here? What is the objective? Is the objective to win the division and to make the playoffs? And look, like Mike Tomlin's been incredibly successful. Like he probably took a 7-win team and made it a 10-win team this year, if we're being honest. Mm-hmm. But if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, 7 consecutive playoff losses, something has to change. Something has to change because of what we've seen through 7 consecutive playoff losses to this point. And again, I go back to the fact that in those 7 losses, the Steelers have trailed by at least 21 points in each of those 7 losses.
Yeah, so I like all of that, man. When I looked at Rodgers, my thing was this. If the protection holds up, it's a DK touchdown that's out there. We all saw it on the tape. That's actually a strip sack. So is that a Rodgers issue or is that a protection issue? There is another play where literally Rodgers once again is about to take another shot. And it's like, wow, gets hit. It's not a Rodgers issue from my perspective. That's a protection there. But we already knew this, right? And we said, man, yes, could mobility help? Absolutely. And we look at a lot of young mobile quarterbacks all the time, but what do we say about them? Man, they can't read the field. They can't read defenses. That's why they rely on their legs. And shout out to their legs, but it really gets exposed when teams make them have to throw the football. That's why for me, I don't really look at Rodgers and get too enamored with the age part. I look more so at the health element because it's like, man, to bring him back, is he going to be able to sustain just another season? Because we know he's going to get hit. Last night, he was getting, to me, beat up a little bit. And that's the part where one or two things have to happen. Either you have to figure out how to make that protection even better, which we know for the majority of December to January, they played a lot better. And Rodgers looked a lot better. But just like any quarterback, man, when you're getting pressured, when you're getting hit, you're not going to look good. It's a big reason why C.J. Stroud struggled at times in that first half, and then they started to do what in the second half? Man, we're going to move this pocket, man. We're going to try to get some quick game in, and Christian Kirk was their third down savior. He was the one who found the matchup, right? And we all kind of realized that about the 4th time he caught the ball was like, that's just the bad matchup right there. JPJ's holding up everything else, but that's the matchup right there. That was how they offset CJ Stroud's mobility, because we're not going to act like CJ Stroud's the most robust with his athleticism, but he's athletic enough. And to me, Rodgers is still athletic enough. But could you be more athletic? Yes. Would we want that? Absolutely. But I just personally don't sacrifice or don't want to sacrifice a quarterback's vision, mentality, understanding how to read defenses pre-post snap, the calmness of him, regardless of the adversity that we faced at numerous points in times this season, just for like youth and like, oh man, it could run a little bit better. Like, to me, that's where you start to get into some of the quarterbacks that we've experimented with pre Aaron Rodgers, post Big Ben, that leads to the 21 points trailing. And if we talk about it, and the reason I asked you about this game compared to those other ones is all those other ones, the 21-point deficits were a lot earlier in the game.
Yep.
But the quarterback play was a lot different also in those games. So that's why for me, I just have a little bit different feeling on it.
And Rodgers does a great job in helping his line with hard counts and changing plays at the line of scrimmage, given his experience and all of that, to where a lot of times you'll see this with young quarterbacks where an edge rusher can just tee off because they know what the snap count's going to be. They don't switch up the cadence. Rodgers is elite at that. He is. But even despite all of that, they still struggled to keep him upright because, man, it was a race to the quarterback between those two edge guys. And
But don't just say those two edge guys.
I know. Well, yeah.
Put some respect on what. Put some respect on their numbers though. Was it 14 and 50? It's like, yeah, those aren't regular sack numbers. They get after it.
Sack. I forget my interior lineman for the Texans, but I mean, he walked back and put Sayamalo on his back. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have one of his best ones.
Throw
the away, bro.
They flashed the stat too of the fourth quarter point differential in the regular season for these two teams, plus 78 for Houston in the fourth quarter, minus 42 for the Steelers. And they flashed that. It's like, oh well, maybe they've jinxed the two teams and we can flip it here. And like I said, it was like an avalanche towards the end there because down 4 points in the fourth quarter, and even after the strip sack, scoop and score fumble recovery, it's like, all right, 2 scores. There still is enough time where if you can go down and score on this drive right here.
Yep.
But then from there, like I said, it snowballed an avalanche from there.
Yeah. 2 drives though that I was a little bit, like I said, upset about with this defense though, specifically. That 92-yard drive. The 92-yard drive in the second, yes. That was definitely one of those ones that end that drive right after the strip sack for the touchdown. I felt like if either one of those you hold a field goal, either one of those you force a punt, it feels different. But in both of those situations, that was the part where I did feel a little bit deflated. That fourth quarter drive, that to me was more of the we're running out of juice right here. That second quarter one, it was, man, we have to execute this a little bit better. But that was also the Christian Kirk beating Brandon Cooks element of it. But to me, I look at certain parts of it. And that's the part where when I hear what you're saying specifically, Mark, about the history of these losses and all of the numbers and data, and it's like, that's all well and good. But what does that do to this specific matchup? Because I do feel like this specific matchup is very different than any of these other matchups that we keep referencing. And I'm just trying to see after another 10-win season. And yes, the goal is to win your division. You can't talk Super Bowl until you do what first? Win your division. Knock that out first. Then from there, man, now try to get this home field advantage, right? After that, now we're trying to get into this postseason and win these games. So you checked off those first couple boxes, right? It wasn't hey, man, 9 wins. No, it was a 10-win season. It was double digits. So you're checking off the boxes that matter. Absolutely. But the frustrating part is, yeah, as a grand total, yes, it's the 7th consecutive loss. But once again, as I go back to you, it's just, hey, what do those historic losses have to do with this specific loss from your perspective?
To me, it's just time with Mike Tomlin. And this is coming from someone like, full disclosure for anyone listening or watching this. I am a Mike Tomlin fan. When Arthur, before we linked up, when I was doing my other Steelers show, when Mike Tomlin came on our show, it was our most successful month by far. So I like Mike Tomlin. I am a Mike Tomlin fan. I just think it's time after 19 years. I really do. I think he's been largely successful. I just think it's almost like they always say to Andy Reid when he left Philly and went to Kansas City. And it goes back to, what are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to accomplish of get into the playoffs either as a wild card or winning a weak division? Was a weak division this year.
Still won it.
Agreed. Are we trying to do that, or are we actually trying to win a Super Bowl? Really, that's the bigger question I have of get fans interested and the team can be competitive. That is to Mike Tomlin's credit. That the stat that always blows me away with what he's accomplished, the highest draft pick the Steelers have during his tenure is the 10th overall pick. And they traded up to get Devin Bush in the 2019 draft. So because he's been so good for so long, the Steelers never bottom out. And so what they need to do, and they've got 12 draft picks going into 2026, Pittsburgh's going to host the draft, is to figure out to use that draft capital to position this team for the future. And whether that's getting a quarterback now or next offseason, that's something that they have to do, because they swung and missed on Kenny Pickett a few years ago. Mitch Trubisky wasn't the answer. Mason Rudolph has been serviceable and has resurrected his career when he's played. We're talking about what the issues are that have plagued this team. And Aaron Rodgers played at a very high level. He did more for this team than I expect him to. I thought he was going to be more of a game manager this year for Pittsburgh. They've got to figure out the quarterback position because Aaron Rodgers, whether he's back next year or not, is in his 40s now. And that's still a can that they continue to kick down the road. So what does that have to do with Mike Tomlin? Because he's been there when Kevin Colbert was the GM, now Omar Khan. He's very heavily involved in the draft process. If you want to restack the deck and put him with the young quarterback, fine. But they're going to need to figure out the quarterback position. And I look at the division in the AFC as a whole. This was a down year for the AFC. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson are stud quarterbacks. Mahomes has been a stud quarterback. We'll see about Stroud. And I know this year isn't a great example of what I am talking about. But if you want to go win a Super Bowl, you're going to need a guy that is a top 10 quarterback in the league, whether that's drafting someone or making a trade with someone with the draft capital that you have. And whether that's this draft or positioning yourself for a future draft, that's something that this franchise has to do with or without Mike Tomlin. I think it's time. And again, this is coming from someone who has a tremendous, tremendous amount of respect for Mike Tomlin because you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year as well. I will gladly concede there. Arthur Hopin, sorry to mean to interrupt you.
No, so I was just saying, it just sounds like because he's continuing to be successful, you feel like remove him out of the equation, bring in younger quarterback, that'll get them closer to Super Bowl.
You might.
I'm just gonna make sure I heard you right. I'm just making sure I heard you right.
Yeah. You might need to get worse before you can get better. I mean, like it's. Yeah, I know that's eye opening. It is, but from what
Mark, that's eye opening.
I know you raised your eye. I know you raised your eyebrows, Arthur.
No, because I'm with you. Yeah, trust me. Hey,
it was just funny the way it sounded.
Yeah, so I'm just like, man, trust me, I hear everything you're saying, and it's a concept that I feel like, yes, we could point to maybe an outlier scenario of the whole get worse to get better, but I just look at the large amount of data that doesn't support the whole theory of getting worse to get better. I don't see a lot of that. So that's why for me personally, that's just a harder thing for me to kind of grasp, but I'm open to it. Trust me, I'm open to it. But that one is just because I think of how many countless teams. Heck, Mark, you're a Chicago guy, right?
Yeah.
You were with Lovie Smith, right?
Yep.
How long?
And it took
long?
About 5 to 10 years. I mean, until you could like.
All right, no. But have you been back to a Super Bowl?
Oh no! Come on, Arthur.
No. Because you told me you could just get a little worse to get better. And Lovie Smith, right?
And
you are a Chicago guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time of this recording, too. I mean, we want to keep this on the Steelers here.
I'm hopeful of Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Ben Johnson and Ben Johnson. Yeah. And
y'all know I've been older.
It's easy for any Steelers fan to say hindsight 2020. We should have gone to get Ben Johnson last offseason. Mike Tomlin was a relatively unknown when he got hired.
Oh,
he had been the defensive coordinator for one season in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. He had been a longtime DBs coach for an elite Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense.
Yeah.
I think, again, TaNeisha, hop in because I'm sure you have thoughts about all this.
Yeah, I feel like, so at the beginning of the season, before the season even started, I was on team get talent because I felt like, and I think I even said this, that we were drafting. I thought we were drafting terribly. I think for the past 5 years, our drafting is just kind of like, it's been okay, but it hasn't been like stellar. And I felt like it took us a minute to find our drafting groove. And so for me, it's hard to have, it's easy to have this conversation when your team just ended the season in a loss. But then when you start adding the layers to the loss, right? Okay, so we were predicted to be the worst division the worst team in our division. People thought we were going to be fourth. We've never finished fourth, by the way, but people thought that's how bad this roster was. And then people were like, well, maybe they can do something. So we win the division. And so it's like, who gets credit for the winning of the division? So whoever gets credit for that, let's give him credit for that. But even still, when you get to the playoffs, that talent that you didn't have and those holes that you still had showed himself in the game. And so for me, it's like, if we know we have these moments and we know that we've built that offensive line from the draft, I mean, literally, like what, past two, 3 seasons, like that offensive line is literally built from the draft. So
even Dylan Cook. Yeah, that's
right.
another
So
one.
I feel like we are I've always said we're in a silent rebuild, and everyone's like, what the hell are you like, what does that even mean? To me, a silent rebuild means when you go look at our roster and you see where our money is going and you see how many people are tied to things year after year after year, the Steelers really don't have a lot of people tied down. And the people they do is name TJ Watt and name Jalen Ramsey and name DK Metcalf. That's a win. But everybody else is either young or they're on a 1-year deal. So when I'm looking at the way the team is constructed, if you strip away all of that, the bones are really good, because the good is in that offensive line. They've been drafted. You still don't have to pay them. And you've already paid the guys that should be paid. And now you go back to drafting. And I think that sometimes as fans, because I do this very often, I forget that this is a puzzle, and I forget that the puzzle piece actually starts in the draft and you have to build from the draft. And so if we're taking that philosophy, looking at the success over the past couple of years, we've done an okay drafting. So if you want to fire Coach Tomlin, they're going to fire Coach Tomlin. I can't make a stand whether they're going to do it or not. If they do it, it is what it is. And if they don't, it's like, okay, well, now you have 12 draft picks. I think we're going to have a ton of cap space because the way this team is constructed allows for that. So like you said, Mark, where are we at? Where are we saying like, hey, Tomlin is going to be our guy for 2 more years because we have the cap space? We all know what the issue is. We need a quarterback. I mean, we know. So it's not like we're looking at our team and a wide receiver too. It's not like we're looking at our team and going, man, I just don't know. This team just cannot. No, we're looking at this team and going, if we could have a quarterback, like give us a quarterback and let us see what we could do. We've been saying that for now 6 seasons. Is that Coach Tomlin's fault? I mean, depending on where you fall, you're going to say yes or no.
So I know he is heavily involved in the team's draft process with Omar Khan, previous GM, Kevin Colbert. Like, it's a collective effort, but he weighs in, like, he goes to the pro days. Like pretty much everyone in the league going to the combine, but like he is very hands-on in the team's draft process. I go back to the playoff success. First team in NFL history, 5 straight playoff games losing by double digits. And it's just like, it's in a sentence, it's almost like he's the victim of his own success, because he's able to, like, this is a coach who went 8-8 with Duck Hodges. With Duck Hodges, who couldn't even start for his Canadian team.
So, but like, that's a playoff loss, though. But think about that. What you brought up right there. That's a quarterback that still led this team to the postseason. I believe it was Mason that actually got that start on the road. But it's like
different season.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, you're right. They missed it that year. Good call. Yeah.
But again, so like argue, like I'm not arguing Mike Tomlin isn't a good coach. It's just for like they're just stuck right now between a rock and a hard place, and so it's like, how do you get unstuck? And in getting unstuck, you might fall further down the mountain.
I'm with you on all this, and trust me, I'm not sitting up here acting as if, man, you can't fire Coach Tomlin. If they move on from him, cool. If they don't, cool. If he retires, cool. If he goes into TV, cool.
Right.
But it's just when I hear the reasons for why to fire or move on from him, you just said it's not as if he's not a good coach. No. So if you already have a good coach and we're all identifying you're still going to need a quarterback, shoot, we can look over these past drafts and look at the options of quarterbacks that were in these drafts. So when we look at how he swung at free agents and returned because he said, man, I swung on a Kenny Pickett. What were the other options in there? So instead of going with the Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky options, he goes, okay, let me go Justin Fields, Russell Wilson options. We get the most out of them. Then it's like, all right, that ain't cooking. Then he's like, yo, give me Aaron Rodgers, the 40-plus-year-old that nobody believes can still get it done. Watch this real quick, though. So to me, I'm like, yo, you're shooting with the best potential options you can get. Now, could we have went and maybe got Sam Darnold? I think that's a fair question, right? Because he was one of those names when you look at the money that was spent on him in Seattle, that's legitimate. But how many people really believe that he was going to do it again? Yeah. I think that's a legitimate question also.
And Arthur, to your point too, I mean, you mentioned the Bears earlier. Let's look at another team that's still in the playoffs right now, and the 49ers. They swung and missed on Trey Lance. that would have doomed how many other franchises? They get Mr. Irrelevant and Brock Purdy, and Shanahan's still employed there. And so then this adds another wrinkle onto it.
Throw Jimmy G in there too. Yeah,
sure. Mike Tomlin is a defensive coach, to where would you want to get someone who is an offensive coach to bring him in? That goes back to your point about the Bears. Bears tried to do that post Lovie Smith, and it blew up in their face. And then they're finally starting to get things right. It took about a decade later from all of that. So it's just like, again, if you're Pittsburgh, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because like you're nowhere near like the bottom dwellers of the NFL, of just like the worst of the worst. But at the same time too, you might be equidistant from the elite of the elite to the very top. I think you're probably closer to the top than you are the bottom. But it's just like, again, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And what are the things that you can do? Again, to me, if the objective is to win a Super Bowl, we've got to, the Steelers have to take an entirely different approach, just considering what we've seen in the last decade.
Quick question for both of y'all. Who's the best team in the AFC this year?
There isn't one.
No. Give me a name. I don't care. Give me a name.
I'd go the Denver Broncos is what I would pick. That's just them. Like, Arthur, gut instinct of like first team that came to mind when you asked that question.
I mean, they're not I don't know though. I'm not. Fine. I'll go Denver Broncos. Like, I don't like their quarterback though, but I'll go Denver Broncos. I mean, that's where I'm at. Like, but that's my issue is I feel like, and that's why, and I as a human being.
TaNeisha's so conflicted right now.
I'll just answer the question.
I understand the get rid of Mike Tomlin, because when you get rid of Mike Tomlin, right, everything is easier. I understand that that's what we think in our brain. I totally get that. We're also raised, most of us, the grass is not always greener. Just because you're in a solid, consistent relationship and everything is great, just because you've lost the spark, does that mean you just leave that relationship, or does that mean you try to get the spark back? I think that's where we're at. And I think depending on where you fall, I think is how you're reacting to this. Like, because I'm team, what do I want to sacrifice? Do I want to sacrifice wins on a maybe, on a hope? I personally don't live that way. No, because when you have something good, you hold on to something good and you kind of figure the rest out. And I see the other side of this where people are like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Because they've never seen the worst. So it's easy to say, what's the worst that can happen? Let's just tank for 10 years. Mark's like, oh, it took him about 10 years. And I'm like, 10 years?
That's a long
Let me ask you
time.
a question. Do you think the Steelers will win another playoff game with Mike Tomlin?
Yes, because I don't think Mike Tomlin's the issue. I don't think Coach Tomlin's the issue. Let me tell you why. At the end of this game, I'll be honest. I was like, did I just watch Coach Tomlin coach his last game? That's how I was like, if this is how this is going to end, how do I feel about it? And I thought, I don't know how I feel about it. And so I started listening to the players' press conferences. They don't buy into that. They don't subscribe to that. And they're actually frustrated that they keep having to answer questions about Coach Tomlin. I also watch the Baltimore Ravens press conferences after their game. And they didn't care if Harbaugh left then next week. Or they were just kind of like, I don't know, that's not my decision. That is not how the Steelers locker room is. So for me, I think sometimes what I might want in the moment, and then once I get more information, they're in the locker room. And if they haven't sold on their coach yet, I can't either, because they're my scale of how they're feeling. If they like it, I have to like it. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think that what I would like to see is, I think we need some movement on some guys that we thought were the guys. I think we need to make harder decisions. If I'm going to question Coach Tomlin on anything, it's going to be that. It's going to be, who are you willing to part ways with that might break your heart, but you might have to do it for the betterment of this organization? I think that's a conversation that I would love to have. Maybe not right now, but like in the offseason, because sometimes I think that you have to be willing to break things that are no longer working and things that the fans actually might hate dramatically. But just because you had a player that's been around for so long, sometimes Now it's time to go, and it's time to restart it all over again. And that will be an interesting conversation, because there's a lot of players on this team that we know them, we love them, we have their jerseys, they're our guys, but sometimes it just doesn't work anymore. And
who specifically are you talking about, TaNeisha? Because the Steelers have changed quarterbacks, they've changed general managers, and they've changed coordinators under Tomlin. So who are you talking about specifically?
I want to look at some of TJ Watt's performances. I want to look at the way this team is constructed a little bit. And I think that when you, cause now this is off season, TaNeisha. So now I can be like, okay, let's pull back I've seen it. Let's pull it back a little bit. I think you have to evaluate everyone in every situation, and you have to look at what you're getting out of every single player, not just, and when I look at this team, and when I look at how Houston beat us, their best players never stopped. Their best players kept coming all game long. From go to the very end, we saw them. And this is very like little, they still jump up and get excited. They're so fired up. They're eager. They're hungry. Like the energy that I'm seeing from that defense, and when I'm looking at our defense, isn't the same. And sometimes you have to do certain things where you're like, I don't want to do this. This isn't going to be the most popular. This isn't going to be the most fun, but let's evaluate every single solitary person we have on this team right now. That's where I'm at, because the season is over. Nobody should be safe. Literally nobody. Not your OC, not your DC, not your head coach, not a player. You have to evaluate every single person that we have in that locker room right now. And that's where I'm at. And that's why I said, if that means that the evaluation comes back and Coach Tomlin is out, then Coach Tomlin is out. But you have to start the evaluation. I don't think anyone should be off limits, because we haven't seen things that we were expecting to see. And now that the season's over, you have to kind of go back and see, okay, what did go wrong? Who didn't step up? Yeah, we all know our offense, but also what else happened? Where's Caleb Johnson? Anyways, now I'm on a rant, but I'm just saying, there's just a lot of layers to this. Where's Roman Wilson, right? Like, is he just not it? Let him go. Like, there's just certain things where I'm like, I'm not a GM. I wish I was, but like, where do we start looking at things and actually start making that actual decision versus, hey, he's actually close. We saw it in practice a lot. He's just not ready. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I want those conversations, the hard ones. Forget the soft ones. Like, I want those hard conversations. Like, I'm not saying Mason McCormick should leave. That's ridiculous. But like, should Mason McCormick be here? Right? Like, let's evaluate every single player and look and see what their production looks like. Because that's what this is. This is a production league. I need results.
First off,
sorry.
This is about to be a fun as heck all season with y'all two. I already can get the vibe. I love it, man, because with both of y'all bringing to this thing, fire. Shout out to both of y'all, all right? Shout out. I just had to get that off. Second thing, TaNeisha, everything you just said right there, spot on. And the beautiful part is it happens, right?
Yeah.
Will we get all of that information? Some of it get leaked. Some of it will get leaked out, but as a whole, every single player, every coach, every general manager will be evaluated, their performance reviewed, whether we're talking in this game, full body of work, what their pay is, and expectations going forward as well. And that's the only way to operate, at a high level. And that is also why this team, even with the lack of recent playoff success, they still have been able to be one of the best teams in the NFL consistently when you talk statistically, wins versus losses, and from a historical standpoint, being the first team to have 6 Super Bowl championships as well. Just want to throw that in there. All right. But the other part is this, though. Going back to the question I had asked, though, in terms of, man, who do we think are the best teams, or who do we think is the best team in the AFC? The reason I asked that is because I watched the New England Patriots play in that playoff game. Are we about to act as if that was the gold standard for Super Bowl contending teams? Because if that's the case, line it up. We just played this Houston Texans team, and we don't walk out of here saying, what? Man, if we could just protect it a little bit better. Hey, if we could just protect, look, it wasn't a whole bunch of, man, they got this, they got that. Man, Christian Kirk found the bad matchup with Brandon Eccles. It wasn't a whole bunch of, man, we can't stop this. How do you stop this? What about this? Buffalo, and you know how I feel about Buffalo. We looking at them with, man, scary boogeyman. Can't beat that team. Jacksonville, they got knocked off. So when we named the Kansas Cities, the Baltimores, and the Cincinnati's of the world, they didn't even make the conversation this year. They didn't even in it. So I really was asking, like, yo, are we really closer to that side, or are we actually going to be closer to whoever wins this or whoever represents the AFC in the Super Bowl this season? I personally think it's the latter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't disagree with that. I mean, you know what's kind of funny is if freaking CJ Stroud could play halfway decent, I think they're the best team in the AFC.
Yeah,
low key.
CJ,
I would agree.
I think that's a championship defense offensively,
Yes.
and they're going to be without Nico Collins with the concussion protocol. We'll see if he's back in the next round, but yeah, I mean, if the offense was even decent, because I mean, Arthur, you mentioned the 2 drives where you got upset about the defense. I mean, to Brandon Eccles' credit, the interception he had in the red zone kept points off the board. I thought was a huge play.
They caught the ball.
What really made
Stayed in
me
the fight.
so mad last night, the Texans defensive players smiling in the fourth quarter. I'm like, they shouldn't be smiling. They should be stressing out and wondering if they're going to be able to hang on for this win. Then no Renegade in the fourth quarter. You go back to week 1 of the 2023 season. They didn't play Renegade last night, and I don't know when.
Oh, really?
I don't know when they would have played Renegade. No Renegade last night.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Extra pissed off about that because I was doing a pregame interview with Charlie Batch, and he actually told the story about the first time Renegade was played, man, Cleveland Browns playoff game, and it was a double Renegade, and we were all like, yeah, we might get dos Renegados tonight. And to get zilch, zero, nada, it's one of the biggest games of that year. But my question, TaNeisha, is, unfortunately, when would you have played it in the fourth quarter? Before the strip sack fumble?
No, I think at the start.
Okay.
Yeah, because the third quarter ended, and we went to the fourth quarter, and I think they should have came back with it. Like
just right out the gate with it?
Yeah, because at this point, it's the playoffs, right? And the game is so tight. You got to play it. We've seen a multiple Renegade. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care if every damn time the defense runs out there in the fourth quarter.
The Renegade.
Fire it up. Like, what are we doing? You know what's actually kind of funny about last night's game is the most disappointed I was, and I said, as soon as the second half started, I said, this drive is going to be important. We could not let them score because I knew that crowd was going to be, going to the bathroom, going to get their drink, going to get their hot chocolate, whatever. It was going to be quiet. And I was like, they cannot let them score on this drive. If they don't let them score on this drive, we have a chance to kind of get some momentum coming out of half, blah, blah, blah. We get the interception, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening exactly like I said in my brain. And then the offense ran back out there, and I was like, oh, they didn't get the memo. Okay. And it was like, I setting it home, I started to kind of be like, guys, are we, like, is this actually, because we've seen them do this throughout the year, right? Where they kind of like, it's a lull. We're all in a lull, and we're like, here it comes. And then the second half starts, and we're kind of able to like pick it back up. And I think the most like annoying thing, now that I've slept on it, taking away from the game was like, did our offense really play like that? I mean, when I woke up this morning, I had to go back and look at the stats, and I'm like, they really played like that. I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, I obviously knew that Houston Texans defense was good. We didn't even talk about the Houston Texans defense because we knew it was spectacular. And we were like, we're just going to let them be great. We're not even going to waste our energy talking about them. But on some levels, I'm like, but was it them or was it us? Because there's certain moments where I'm like, I don't know. That just, it looks so imbalanced that you're like, are they that great? And then I'm like, well, maybe they are that great. So now I'm having this like conversation with myself this morning. But that was the most disappointing, was watching the offense basically do nothing for an entire game and keep me at home having hope, thinking they're going to do something. So that's why I'm just like, what? I don't know. That feeling, I hate that feeling. Whatever that feeling is where you just feel helpless, that's how I felt. I was just like,
TaNeisha, to your point with this playoff losing streak, 7 straight, the Steelers have trailed on every single snap of the second half during that 7-game losing streak. So it's like, oh, could they finally get a lead in the second half, to where it's like, that opportunity was there last night. I don't care what the final score reflects. Even down 4 in the fourth quarter, it's just like, we got Rodgers. They can keep him upright. And then if Again, that didn't happen for as much progression as the offensive line made. And then another thing, too. Why do we wait to give the ball to Pat Freiermuth until our back is against the wall and we have no other option? It makes no sense to me. It makes zero sense to me why he didn't get more targets. He played 68% of the team's offensive snaps. But the refusal to throw him the football, where I think he's a difference maker, I think he's a good player, I don't get it. I haven't understood it all season long, and it happened yet again last night.
Nah, respect on all of that, man. Absolutely. And Cleveland. What was the Cleveland game? Defense, right? Houston's defense, you can make case better than Cleveland.
Oh, way better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're just drawing the comparisons and we're looking as to like, man, what went, why this, that. The difference also was Cleveland didn't score with their defense twice either in that matchup. And that's also why this got a lot worse, why it felt a lot more lopsided in terms of that finish because of those scores at the end. It's like, man, when we got our turnovers, man, the Texans either made us field goal, or we weren't doing anything with it. That matters, man. It matters. And that to me is a part of the bigger conversation that we'll have this offseason with, like we talked about, TaNeisha, in terms of, man, their guys never was a drop off. It was their made guys the whole time. That's going to be something to look at, man, because it's hard for me to sit here and complain about the wide receiver too, or can we have more production on offense when I look at how much money is on the other side? It's like, yeah, we know we can use some of that over there. You know what, $5 million to get you a wide receiver? You know what, $10 million to get you a wide receiver? And we know it. So you look at Christian Kirk, it's like, man, hey, that ain't $30 million. That ain't crazy. But those are the conversations that we'll obviously be having, man, along with a lot of other things, man. But it's just one of them things, man. It's one of them things. But yeah, I'm with you, Mark, man. Give me Renegade every time, man. There you go. I'm good on Renegade.
Yeah, like, why didn't we play? That's
no Renegade.
Can I just say something too? I remember when the game started. I can't remember the plays now because I've slept since last night. But when the game started and we did the 10-yard run, the 17-yard pass on the very first two plays of the game, I was like, who is this team? Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, did we? And then in my mind, I was like, I wonder if Mark is watching this thinking we're going to score and we might score more points than like what, the little ticker says or whatever. And then it was like, I quickly realized as soon as the incompletion, I was like, right. Okay, girl. Like, you gotta remember, like, no, like, that's not what's going to happen. Cause it looked so good. Those first two plays, I was like, who is this team? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And then I don't think I said that at all on offense in a positive way.
DK was rolling early, TaNeisha, and he had the reception on the first drive. He had another reception on the following drive, drawing the defensive pass interference penalty. It's like, wow, DK's back. This is what we've been missing. And I swear, as soon as he had the drop, everything offensively just did not work. It seemed like from that point forward.
Yeah, but that's the funny part with this, because we all know how highly touted that defense is. But in the midst of all of that, you said it right out the gate. We were moving the football, and it wasn't just 1-2 plays. It was multiple drives. But that goes back to, man, how far away is this team realistically then offensively? How far away is this team realistically when we're thinking of all of these things that we're talking about? We've complimented this Texans defense, and it's like, yeah, man, they still have some stuff on them, though. Shoot, we spoke on the potential. I mean, DK literally has a step or two on his guy on the play where Rodgers gets strip sacked. That's in the fourth quarter. That's the potential for a go-ahead score at that junction of the game. But the conversation doesn't reflect that at times. And I get it, because when you lose, yes, it's hard to just look at certain elements of it from the, hey, man, is it really that? Or is it really this? But those are the things that it just continues to make it harder for me to all the way grasp. Maybe because it's still fresh. Maybe that's what it is. In my mind, I'm kind of, and I don't look at it from what you had said, TaNeisha, about, man, are you a person that holds on to something good, or are you a person that will, cut it for the optimism of, hey, man, who knows? Maybe it's green on the other side. I think it's just the competitor in me, man. When I look at this team and we're talking about all of this nuance, it's like I don't hear a team that is far behind. I hear a team that you need to stitch this, a fine tool here. If you could change up and grab something to help you on offense, that'd be nice, right? But we know, man, that's the likelihood of you scoring the perfect quarterback prospect this year, slim to none, right?
Right.
Slim to none. So either way, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to account for 2026. And I get what about 2027? What about 2028? But we would all agree in the NFL, man, it is 1 year to 1 year. You come up here and you stink it up in 1 year, you will be fired by the time you get to year 2. They don't have a lot of patience at this level. So I'm not even all the way looking down the line 3, 5, 7 years because we know this is year to year right now.
This is where
Should
Omar
I call
Khan
Arch Manning now or after the show?
Yes. This is where.
Should I see what's going on with that now? Or
shout out to Arch.
TaNeisha, I love it. This is where Omar Khan needs to earn his bones. So I'm right there with you because I don't think that whether it's Anthony Richardson or Kyler Murray, and we'll go all off season long of what all the different quarterback iterations can be, both free agency, trade, draft. We'll look at all the options. Omar Khan, earn your bones. This is where he's got to get creative. And you do have draft picks stockpiled to where you can get creative, and it might not be something that's totally evident that's out there where it's like, okay, yeah, this is the layup, take the layup. It's going to have to be something that we haven't even really – like I'd need more time thinking about it to see what possibilities that there are. And it's like Arthur, you mentioned Sam Darnold, right, earlier this offseason. I had heard the rumors and the rumblings that the Steelers, the guy that they really wanted this offseason was Matt Stafford and potentially going to get Stafford before he decided, okay, I'll stay with the Rams. So it's like it's going to have to be something like that where it's something that we don't even see coming. And this is where you earn your bones as a GM. And TaNeisha, to your point earlier, in terms of getting more talent, there is some good young talent on this team. JPJ, I think, really emerged at the end. I thought he played very well last night and throughout the back half of the season. I thought he got better and better, getting closer to being that shutdown corner. Derek Harmon, the difference when he's out there versus when he's not. The young offensive line. I mean, I could go through each guy. Another question, too, and this is something I would absolutely do. Broderick Jones' fifth-year option for the 2027 season. They have to decide that by May 1. $19.96 million projected. I would sign that like yesterday. I wouldn't even think twice about that in terms of his fifth-year option on his rookie deal. So there are decisions to be made with all this, and like I don't want to jump too far ahead to the offseason, but it keeps going back to the quarterback. Whether you want Tomlin back or not, it keeps going back to the quarterback. If it's time for Aaron Rodgers, if he is done, part of me is like the competitor to him. Does he want his final NFL throw to be a pick six? But
come on, man. Ain't no way you walking away like that. Oh, my God. You can't walk off like that, man.
So if he's back or not, and maybe you want to say one more year with Tomlin and Rodgers, and that's fine because then maybe next offseason there aren't as many head coaching vacancies. Teams always need quarterbacks in this league too. But when the Steelers are picking in the draft, I already wrote this down somewhere in my notes. I think it's 21st in the draft.
Sounds about normal.
How are you going to go get that blue chip quarterback when the guy that you really want is already going to be gone in the first 5 or 10 picks if you want to go with the route of a rookie first-round quarterback, or to develop someone and draft them later on like a Will Howard. Again, we're going to have all off season long to talk about this,
I
but
can't
you gotta
wait.
figure out the
I
quarterback
can't wait.
position. You have
No,
to.
absolutely. And forget my laugh, man. It's just when you said one of the blue chip prospects, I was like, oh, can't wait to hear this one.
I don't even gonna talk about these quarterbacks, but
we're gonna have fun this we're gonna have fun. Mark, what you say? You don't want to wish your life away? We're not gonna wish our life away. We're gonna enjoy every time that we get up here and do this panel because boy, we're gonna have some combos. Oh, we're gonna have some combos. I love it.
It's 21 for the Steelers, the 21st pick. If I'm wrong about that, please roast me in the comments because people probably already think I'm nuts.
No. Hey, at least they listen to the words that you say, Mark. They don't even listen to what I say. They just assume
try
they
to
know
speak
what
the
I'm
truth.
Window shirts.
It's like I have a good methodical thought process, and I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about the Houston Texans defense because they're spectacular. They're so good. In the comment section, people are like, how dare you diss this Houston Texans defense? I'm like, did you guys not hear me at all? They didn't. They were just looking at me. They weren't listening.
Yeah.
I try to speak the truth, even if it's not necessarily what people will want to hear. But yeah, it's what I've seen with my own two eyes doing this now. It's crazy to say. The seventh year I've covered the Steelers, where it's like I've watched every single game, and it's just like, so it's like you learn a thing or two along the way.
Mark, that's crazy. This is your 7th year, man. This is my 7th as well. I literally did the math last night. Oh Lord, I got an extra gray hair that popped up too. I was just like, yo, this is the 7th year, man. Extra gray just popped up. I was like, oh Lord, where'd this come from? Yeah. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah. I also think too that sometimes a lot of it's hard for people to see the forest from the trees. A lot of times it's like people want to make the big splash or the big hit. And like I've always said this, I'm not calling for anybody's job. And just in life, probably because I work in a place where like, anyways, I hire people. Like, so for me, it's like when it comes to that aspect of it, I'm like, I don't even want to go there. I'm going to ride with whatever the Steelers decide they want to do. I think though that at some point, as fans, because I like to speak from the fan perspective, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan. Like, do I have content and build content for this? Yes. But like, I'm a fan. And when I look at this team from a fan perspective, do I think that we're close? I think that we're closer than the better team than we are to the worst team. Absolutely. I think though that without a quarterback, it's like, I know they know we don't have a quarterback, but sometimes I feel like we don't know that we don't have a quarterback. And I know that sounds kind of illogical because we can all see that. But I think that sometimes other things don't make sense when you know you have this big hole. For example, how long do we have to scream for a wide receiver 2 before we actually get one? Because at some point, what is this, year 2 or 3 that we've been like, that's been the constant thing. And so, because I remember even when we signed DK, people were like, oh, great, GP and DK, like this could be okay. We finally have 2. And so I feel like there's certain things that we've been saying for what is this, going on our 3rd year, I feel like maybe.
Yeah.
And so, and then we let Najee go. And I remember some of us were like, well, that was interesting. Okay, how are we going to fill that? Well, let's be honest. We never did. So there's like some of these things where it's like, again, are we going to blame Mike Tomlin for that? Sure, blame him if you want to. Like, I don't really care who you blame. I care about getting it fixed. I don't care if it's I don't care whose fault it is. It doesn't matter. I just want it to be fixed. And I don't think we should be an organization. I think our standard needs to be, we're not going to be an organization that has the same problem twice in consecutive years. Can we just have that be a standard? Because I feel like we every year at the end of it, we're like, well, if we could have had a wide receiver 2, well, if we could have had a better run game. Yeah. And it's like, why do we always talk about the same thing at the end of the season? Why are we not fixing this?
Well, I was going to say, actually, to piggyback on both of those comments, man, with the running attack, last night, that would have been the nice compliment when you're facing pass rushes like that. Man, run the ball directly at them. That's what Houston did to slow us down. They ran with Nick Chubb. It was like, yo, we're going to give you Chubb. We're going to give you Woody Marks. We're going to give you this to offset the other part. No Caleb Johnson. So now it's death by 1,000 cuts and versus a defense that also tackles extremely well on the perimeter, which we saw, right? They highlighted that multiple times on the broadcast. That also was one of the things that we like to do as an extension of our run, right? When we can't hand it off, we're going to quickly toss to the flat man, let our guys make a guy miss one-on-one and get it on the safety, right? Or get it on the corner. Their corners and safeties tackled extremely well last night. They've done that all season. That's also why they're one of the top defenses. So that part is frustrating because, yes, you know how I felt about the Najee move. Like, yo, the casualness of how people just assume that anybody can get 1,000 yards. It's just 1,000 yards. You play all these games, it's just 1,000 yards. And it's like, yeah, sounds good. But the other part, when we talk about wide receiver too, we haven't had a wide receiver tandem since the GP Deontay Johnson time frame. If you think about it. And even with that, we were the ones who moved off of it. Now we get the backstory. Deontay Johnson, Kenny Pickett. Then it's like, yo, you move on from this. Then a week later, you go ahead and move on from Kenny. And now we're looking and we're just like, man, what could have been? And ever since then, we've been chasing that. Then you have it again for a moment with DK and GP. But once again, it's all right, internally, this don't make a lot of, we don't think this is the long-term best option. Let's move on from him. I'm cool with it, but you still never filled that void. And regardless of how you tried, we know the Jacoby Myers name popped up for the trade deadline. It didn't work. So to me, that has to be priority number one. You got to address that wide receiver situation because like you said, TaNeisha, if you go into another season,
oh God, I can't.
The whole O-line argument, Pat Myers sucks, this and that. And I was one of the main ones pounding the table. No, he don't suck. Pat Myers is straight. You look at all these other tackles, you look at all these other offensive linemen, Pat Myers doing what the heck he's supposed to be doing. The proof is in the pudding. All the investments, all the resources, all the shooting and that draft for the O-line, man, that's coming to fruition, right? Mm-hmm. Can we just return the favor at wide receiver? And part of that also goes to the transitions that we've experienced over the past couple of years at the general manager position. Kevin Colbert, when he switched to Omar Khan, when Omar Khan came in and then they did it together. Then after Omar Khan, you bring in Andy Weidel, who coming from Philadelphia, heavy mindset on trenches. That's why you see more shift to Broderick, Troy, Derek Harmon, right? Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier. But now we're looking on his perimeter and we're saying, yo, we love what we're doing inside. We love the Keanu Bentons and the Derek Harmons of the world. We love that. We love the YA Blacks of the world. Shout out to him making a play last night. Mm-hmm. But now we're looking at, we're saying, hey, we've fixed this part. We need to now address this outside. And that's the thing that we have to get addressed this offseason, regardless of who's the coach.
We are 1 hour and 5 minutes into today's pod, and it's time for Mark Bergin's half-baked Steelers idea.
Let's
go.
Perfect segment. The hand movements were everything.
Steelers need a wide receiver. Eagles just got bounced from the playoffs. A.J. Brown, Nick Sirianni going at it on the sidelines. Hey, A.J., come to Pittsburgh. You can come and even read your favorite book, Inner Excellence, on the sidelines. You can play opposite DK Metcalf. We don't know who the quarterback will be yet. It doesn't really matter. You're going to have a great tandem. Exactly. A.J. Brown, what? If we want to get greedy here, a third-round pick? Because clearly it's not working in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I've got the trade odds up right now of which
trade odds.
I do. I got them emailed me directly to my inbox. Believe it. Got it right here.
Yes,
right in my inbox. Baltimore is the favorite. New England is second. Bills, Raiders. You got to go down the list a little bit for Pittsburgh, but man, come play with DK Metcalf and you can eat on the outside. And again, we'll figure out who the quarterback will be, but come to Pittsburgh. Stay in the same state, That's my crazy half-baked Steelers idea after the game. Yeah.
Of all your half-bakes, baby, this might be the one. This might be the one.
Let's fully bake it.
Because I'm with you. AJ is clearly pissed off. All right. And Sirianni clearly is also, strained with the relationship because that's the only reason why you see the reaction like that. And as a former player, man, I get it. They're two highly competitive dudes in a highly stressful situation with a lot riding on it. So all of us demand the best out of each other. And I don't care. If I feel like this, I got to address you right here, right now. I don't care about these cameras. So that's a part of it. But yes, man, when you look at the history of that relationship and when you look at him and Jalen Hurts and how that continues to look strained, absolutely, man. Why not come over here? You still going to have a talented receiver opposite you. You still, like you said, get to stay in the state. You don't have to go far. And you also stand with a competitor or a competitive team, a team that has leadership, stability, a team that does look like they have a lot of the pieces in place, but you could be that missing link. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But some of the other teams you was naming, I'm like, yeah, I can see them really, 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 really using the AJ Brown. Lord have mercy. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Who can't use an AJ Brown?
Come on.
Like, who's going to be? Only people that can't use him is the Eagles, apparently.
Yeah. No.
All 31 of us are
how do you not make it work with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith?
Take it.
Crazy to me.
We'll take it.
What is Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts?
Do you remember what AJ Brown did to the Steelers the last time the two teams played?
Man.
Unfortunately.
He's a monster, man. The
so
straight
Mark,
bully ball.
Kudos to you. You finally did it. That's the one.
I like that one. I can get behind that one. 100%.
Do you have another one?
No, that was honestly after last night's loss.
Good.
Yeah,
I have a question then. I have a quick question for both of you guys. Any concerns with the temperament since we experienced a little bit of the DK experience this year. We know that AJ is at least went more reading the book, but it's still loud. It's still very loud.
Go ahead, TaNeisha. Go ahead.
I don't mind competitive personalities that still compete. What I get frustrated with is when you are like that and you stop blocking. When you're like that and you walk off the field before the play is over. That's where I kind of draw the line. And I don't think AJ Brown has quit on his team. I could be wrong. He does, obviously, he's very frustrated. I haven't seen him quit on his team on the field consistently game after game after game, and clips come out after the game is over of the quitting. That is what I have an issue with. I don't mind if you have an attitude. I want you to have a little bit of an edge. I want you to kind of be frustrated. I want you to always want the ball. Just don't quit on your team. I think there's a difference. So that's kind of how I feel about him.
Quitting on your team and then doing things that hurt your team, which is why I did get frustrated with DK Metcalf and the suspension, where it did not prevent the Steelers from getting into the playoffs, but it hurt this team offensively playing without him. When the Steelers have cut bait with receivers, whether it's Deontay Johnson, the one went to go play for several teams, Chase Claypool, Canada, Antonio Brown's out of the league. I know GP's
don't skip Chicago. Don't skip Chicago with Chase Claypool. I know you got that Chicago. Don't you be skipping that.
Yeah. Listen. The Chicago Bears organization, if they see the 412 area code, they're not answering the call.
It's over.
Speaking of, this is
thank you for JPJ. So
I was going to say, where's that draft pick from Justin Fields? Do we know that? I know that's an off-season question.
I don't off the top of my head, but the Steelers have known when to cut bait with the receiver before. But yeah, to where as long as you're doing things that don't hurt the team. Arthur, you know this about offensive players where it's like they got to be coddled, everything's got to be right. I'll go warm up the binky and everything.
Come on, man.
So, yeah,
keep that ego in order, man. They need to be coddled a little bit, man. That's what us defenders don't really care about them dudes over there. It's like, y'all are babies. All right, y'all are babies.
As long as that competitive fire is done to try to win games and try to help the team, I'm okay with it. I mean, the best of the best this happens to. And that's
I don't even mind
a
disagreement. Like, I don't even mind, yell at each other. Like, I feel like the game is so physical, so aggressive. And when you're frustrated, I can't even imagine playing a football game and being frustrated. And just being like, and then somebody tries to say something to me, and I'm like, bro, throw me the ball correctly. Like, I get it. I'm like that at home, and I'm not even playing. I'm not in pads. I'm in a hoodie, and I get that way. So that's what I'm saying. I get it. I think I don't know. I don't understand why people don't get that. Like, that is the aggression of the game. Like, the way that we said at home, we're like, oof, they're hitting really hard. Do you expect somebody to be happy that they're being hit really hard? No, like, they're fired up. Like, so I don't really care about that. Be that. But also, when it's time and now we're back on the field, do what you got to do. Control it. Go read the book. I love that you read that book, by the way. That's fantastic. I wish more guys would do that. I think it's amazing to know that you need to read a book. Yeah, but if you know that that's going to help you and calm you and get you back to your central place, go do it. Go read a book.
I'm all for finding your central place, but I also say it's the time and the place, man. When we out here, hey, man, you better be locked in what we talk about, because my problem is this, and everything you said was spot on. But when you complain about the ball, when you complain about the targets, you do I'm going to read the book on the sideline. Those are antics. And then when you come back and you drop passes, that's where it becomes a significant issue. Not just from coaches. No. But what I'm saying is this, though. TaNeisha. But look. As a whole, though, just like as a player, like from the player side, you're like, man, you done all this loud stuff all season. You've been loud today, and then you drop it? No, that don't work like that.
Here's my half-baked idea.
All right.
I think they didn't win the Super Bowl this year because he didn't have his book. Do you agree or disagree?
There it is.
TaNeisha sees the correlation.
She's like, get the book. He has to have the book.
He didn't have his book. And
is the book a part of the trade? Can we throw the book in there?
I want AJ with his book.
Barnes and Noble.
I want AJ, yes.
Please.
I want
whatever
AJ
book.
Brown in a Steelers uniform, but he has to come with a book. If he does not come with the book, I don't want him. Okay, he is better with the book, and he didn't
TaNeisha,
read the book.
We got the Carnegie Library right downtown, man. Listen,
Exactly.
full membership, full access is a part of the contract, is a part of the trade.
Hey,
I can get behind.
Author Jim Murphy, the author of Inner Excellence, just the he's getting another upgrade. He's seen another uptick in orders of his book, Inner Excellence.
Yeah, did y'all see him read the book? I didn't see him read the book. So I'm like,
I tell you what, that relationship started to fracture the last season in advance
when he broke
of
out
the Super
book.
Bowl run. Well, it was.
He brought out the book. Was like, yo, why are you reading a book? And he's like, yo, I'm pissed. So I read the book. It keeps me calm. Like, bro, you're wilding right now. This is loud. This is like really loud, right? It's not even a football book.
Moats.
This is loud, bro.
Moats, do you want him to read a book, or you want him to go pull somebody's blue hair?
I would much rather you go flip the Gatorade drinks over, okay? Before you go read the book, go flip the Gatorades over. I would much rather you do that, okay? Don't read the book, bro. The book is so loud, and you do it. It's such the passive aggressiveness to it as well, and that's the part that really irks me, because I'm like, yo, you trying to play. Why are you trying to play? If you pissed, to say you pissed. Don't give me this, I ain't mad. I'm happy. Everything's good. I'm just going to sit here and read the book, though. Like, come on, bro. You pissed. It's cool. Be pissed, bro. Be pissed.
Do you want DK to read a book on the sideline if we're going to the Super Bowl? I want DK to read all the books. If we're going to the Super Bowl, go read all the books, DK. Matter of fact, I will fly there and hand you a book for you to
read books when things aren't going right. All right? When things are going right, you read books. And as a whole, difference too, right? We just talk about them as the relationship. Does this not show that when everything is going right, you can still tough through it, right? Nobody was, hey, man, do you trade for A.J. Brown, right? Because they won the Super Bowl. Even though prior to them getting into the postseason last year, that was a conversation. Do you split it up? Yeah. So now you lose in the postseason, and it comes right back. So it's like, the winning does a great job of masking it, right? The winning is that, hey, man, I cheated on you, but I bought you a car. I bought you a house. It's like, bro, that's just a grand gesture, but we still got some stuff we got to get through here, man. And I just think that it's going to continue to pop up, and that's why AJ comes to us. But we don't need the book, because we're going to have a good relationship, a happy relationship, a trust-built relationship where we can communicate our issues verbally, okay? Not passive-aggressive when we play a mind reader.
Well, when they asked of AJ Brown, it was reading a story from December 2024, what has to improve? And he gives a one-word answer, passing. Next question. It's just like, what?
That's why
I mean, that book, I'm with Arthur. The book is, I'm petty as hell, and the book is petty as hell.
That is like, wow.
I loved it.
Wow. And imagine if you're the quarterback. Because think about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts shot, he is the ultimate professional. Like, I love his temper. I think he is the perfect guy for handling that in that whole scenario in Philly. But it's like, bro, okay, whether you missed the throw or not, it's like, bro, do you got this daggone book out there? Like, bro, we know what the book means. We've all identified. So now every time, if you don't think it's all right, even if we score, have a good drive, you gonna break out this. Come on, bro. Like you imagine TaNeisha, you walking by, man, we on the same team here, but he got the book. Oh, he tripping. Hey, Mark. Hey, bro, he got the book out of here, Mark. Hey, just keep walking by, Mark. He tripping, bro. It's like, bro, who want to deal with that, man?
I have a
PSA. Book away, man. Put the daggone book away.
I have a PSA to author Jim Murphy. We need a sequel. Inner Excellence 2, Steelers edition. Let's get AJ Brown over to Pittsburgh.
Steelers edition.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, shout out to AJ Brown. But yes, Mark, that's the best idea. Who knew we had to wait to lose in the playoffs for you to come through with a banger of a thing?
You see how it is? See, and this would have never happened if we didn't win it. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and we also lost because it's not even freaking December anymore.
You see it. It's a lot of little details.
Thought about that this morning. I really thought about that this morning. And I'm just like, Mark said it. He said December we were going to fine, but he never said anything about January. He never mentioned it.
That's messed up, Mark. That's messed up. I thought we was going to do whatever it took to win. You let us down. For everybody in the comment section, the loss was on Mark. Okay, we're going to blame this 7th consecutive playoff loss on Mark right there. All right. It was on him. It was on him. It's his fault. I blame you. Let me seek my comfort today. Cheeks.
Let me go read my book.
I'm going to read me a book. That's what I'm going to do. All right? Because I'm pissed too. Yeah. No. I'm fine. I'm happy. Nothing's wrong. Everything's okay. Yeah. No, you think I'm upset? I'm not upset. No. Why would I be upset?
Guys,
I like it.
I just don't even. Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen, I do want to say this. As of the recording of this, Coach Tomlin is still the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I appreciate every single thing that Mike Tomlin brings to the table. And I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do. That's up to them. But I just think that I'm obsessed with winning because of him as a Steelers fan. And I don't think that's a small thing, but I think we talk about it like it's a small thing. And when I'm watching some of these teams, like in October and November, their seasons are over. I mean, the fan base, their seasons are done. Like they're like, all right, it's November. Like it's time for us to start watching other teams. Like they don't even have any interest in their teams. And they're used to that. They know what that feels like. I don't even know what that feels like. So, and I think I just want to say, like, I appreciate that I don't know what that feels like. And I'm happy that I don't know what that feels like. And I'm happy to be whining and complaining about a playoff loss because I'm in the playoffs. I'm in the club. I didn't have to wait for somebody to let me in. I'm in there. And I get to be frustrated that I'm in the space that everybody wants to be. And I just don't think we talk about that enough because being in the playoffs is not a small feat. Go ask the Arizona Cardinals. Go ask the New York Giants. Go ask the New York Jets. Like I could go down a list of teams where they're sitting at home being like, well, we don't even know what the playoffs. Like, so yeah. I just like shout out to Coach Tomlin for at least we have these conversations in January. That's fantastic. I just appreciate that aspect of things.
I can dig it. Oh, what you got? What you got, Mark?
There's levels to all of it. And it's like, it goes back to where it's like the elite of the elite, tier beneath that. Steelers are somewhere in there, just missing out on the playoffs. And then just the teams that are perennially picking in the top 5, top 10 year in, year out. So it's just like, there's levels to all of it.
I can't wait. All right, though. Before we get up out of here, final words, man. What y'all have, man? What y'all have for me? Because I got one question for y'all, but I want y'all to go first, man.
We suck. Fire them all. No,
here it is.
Burn it all down. Blow it up. I don't know, Mark. You go.
It's a huge off season. I mean, it's always a huge off season, but you're really at a fork in the road of where this franchise is headed. I think the first thing that you figure out is Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back unless Mike Tomlin is the head coach. So I think you have to figure out, is Mike Tomlin the head coach? Because you're not going to have one without you're not going to have Rodgers come back if Tomlin's not there, given their relationship. And what I thought was, I thought he was a consummate pro this year, despite what we've heard in previous stops and everything. And I think that there's a mutual respect between Rodgers and the organization. It was a fun season for Pittsburgh. It really was. I think the difference with what Tomlin's future holds versus what Baltimore just did with John Harbaugh is Harbaugh and the Ravens were expected to be an AFC contender. They were the heavy favorite to win the division. They fell well short of those goals and expectations.
Don't leave off the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl favorites. Super Bowl favorites. Just
if Pittsburgh does move on from Tomlin, I think it's done in a way that's more amicable. And the flip side of that too, though, isn't even just what Art Rooney, Omar Khan, the Steelers brass decides to do with Tomlin. Tomlin might think that it's time.
Yeah, true.
It could be his decision to leave as well. And he's earned that. So it's been another great year, but just from what we've seen over the past decade now, because even if Pittsburgh makes the playoffs next year, you will have talked about a full decade without a playoff win. If the Steelers kick the can down the road again and try to bring Rodgers and Tomlin back, that might be the best course for 2026, given the number of vacancies that there are for head coaches in the NFL. But to me, the question you got to ask is, what can you do to go back to win a Super Bowl, and whether this team will win another playoff game with Mike Tomlin. Questions that we'll have, how to go about achieving that is something that we're going to debate all offseason long here on the Arthur Moats Experience.
Shout out, man. And for me, shoot, man, another awesome season. Did it end the way that we wanted with the confetti raining? No. That is the pros and cons of getting into the single elimination tournament. Only one team gets to walk away feeling great. Heck, you could talk to dudes that lost in the Super Bowl, still feels like a failure. You lose in the AFC Championship game, I can tell you firsthand experience, still feels like a failure. So when you lose in the postseason, it's always going to go back to this. They was having them conversations even back then. So I'm with all of that. But what's your favorite vacation spot, TaNeisha? Where you like to go when when you got free time? What's your spot?
I'm going to Greece.
Going to Greece? Okay, shout out to Greece. Okay, respect
Greece.
on that. What you got for me, Mark? What's your favorite spot, man? Where you going vacate, man?
Favorite? I mean, somewhere exotic and tropical.
Oh, you better
Mexico
talk.
or Jamaica,
Okay.
somewhere nice
Yeah, it
and
is.
warm.
Okay,
But I'll
okay.
tell you what, it's like, I know it's like, well, headed to Cancun. So it's
Come
like,
on, man.
Arthur,
Yeah.
live pod down in Cancun
Come
a week
on,
from now.
man.
Who says no?
Come on, and look. I would just say for me personally, shout out to the Cancun guys. I'm more of a Grand Cayman guy. That's why I even brought my Cayman Islands t-shirt. Because, yeah, man, it's time for Cancun. It's time for vacay, all right? So this is what happens when you lose. For us, we all go, get your toes in the sand, put your little hats on with the little cool, colorful drinks, all right? And that's what it's going to be. But we're going to be back. We ain't tripping. We still be fighting, all right? But we appreciate y'all all for tapping in with us and appreciate you, Mark, you, TaNeisha, as well, man, for rocking out the way that y'all did this year as well. Heck of a season, heck of a job by y'all as well, man. In the comment section, like it up, subscribe, you already know, but let us know, man, how y'all felt about this game, man, and how you rate the season overall. Was it a success? Was it a disappointment? Or a failure, however you want to word it. But either way, we appreciate each and every one of y'all for tuning in. And until next time, baby, peace.
Bye.